Thank you. Thank you, Sandra, for that kind introduction. Buenas tardes. And it's a wonderful, warm welcome that I have received here in Chile. It's truly been overwhelming. I don't find that every place I go, so thank you. President Piñera and Foreign Minister Ampuero have demonstrated again this morning that the U.S.-Chilean relationship is strong and getting even stronger today. Today, we had the opportunity to build on the meeting that President Trump had with President Piñera in the White House in this past September. And I was with President Trump right before I got on the plane to come here. And he sends his warm regards to President Piñera and all of you here in Chile. I also want to acknowledge my counterpart, Foreign Minister. We have become good friends. The Chilean members of Congress are here. Thank you. The diplomatic corps that has joined us, distinguished guests. Thank you all for being here today. I want to make sure that the message that I share with you today is taken just the right way, and your presence gives me the opportunity to do that. You all know the beauty of this place, this landscape. It is really awe-inspiring. From the Andes to the beautiful lands up north, to Easter Island, to Patagonia, and all of the wonderful, gorgeous, special places in between. Just like the American West, it's rugged. It's clear, too, that Chileans are people of extraordinary talent, of extraordinary vigor and bravery, not only because they settled such terrain, but because they built a true republic on that terrain. One of the first leaders of the Chilean nation was Andrés Bello, who reminds me a bit of a Chilean Thomas Jefferson. For one thing, he's on your currency, and that's for a good reason. He was a diplomat, a statesman, a founder of the University of Chile, and the principal author of the Chilean Civil Code. Today, our embassy in Santiago proudly sits on Avenida Andrés Bello. And that should tell us something. We're now at a moment in history where the proximity, that connection, it resonates more than ever before and actually has boundless potential to continue to increase. That's the subject of my remarks today. The Trump administration believes that our two nations and the rest of the Americas have an incredible opportunity, the chance truly to cement a future of democracy, prosperity for all of the people of all of this hemisphere. It's not an impossible dream, although a few years ago we might not have believed it. Today we all can. Nor is it a foregone conclusion that it will take place. We'll have work to do. But the chance is ours collectively to seize or to squander. You know, over 100 years ago, former Secretary of State Elihu Root paid a visit to Chile. At that time, he saw the remarkable economic changes that were taking place in the region, and he said that there is seen in South America the dawn of a new life, which moves its people as they have never been moved before. He called it a great awakening. Today, I am convinced there is another great awakening. It's happening right here in South America. And it's not just an economic one, although that's an important element of it. Just look at the once unthinkable changes that have taken place in Chile and other countries. Chile made the transition peacefully to a democratic nation and embraced competition free markets, and capitalism. Chile champions transparency. Chile is a leader in the role. Chileans did all of that. And look how it's borne fruit for your country. You've reduced poverty more than any other Latin American nation, from 36% in the year 2000 to less than 9% today. You've diversified your economy, and the United States is grateful to have benefited from that economic diversity. Since we signed a trade agreement back in 2004, trade between our countries has nearly quadrupled. You've done all of this under different political parties of different stripes. Our nation's respective political cycles may not always align perfectly, but the underlying relationship is rock solid, based on a foundation much deeper than politics. Many countries on this continent are following Chile's example. A generation ago, many South American countries were military dictatorships. And even after those regimes ended, many of the continent's democracies were saddled with corrupt leadership. Well, that's no longer the case. A wave of democratization is sweeping the continent.
你干嘛煮这么没味道的东西呀？
这个是减脂餐，难吃也没有办法。
谁说的？来，备料：时蔬鸡片，准备时蔬、鸡肉片。接着脱掉你的上衣，拿起地上的哑铃。
And it's coupled with anti-corruption movements and a healthy dose of something no nation can live without: common sense. Brazil's citizens said enough is enough to the corrupt ruling class. They'd seen the scandal, they'd seen how rotten their government had become, how big business colluded with politicians to the detriment of the poor and of the middle classes. And voters in Brazil said no more. They opted, rather, for law and order and ditched the status quo in favor of action. Peru has been fighting public corruption as one of its top priorities too. We saw this effort come to fruition that last year during the Summit of the Americas and the signing of the Lima Commitment. Meanwhile, the Colombian miracle greatly strengthened institutions in that country. Colombians now benefit from a more independent judiciary. They've seen expansion of modernized world-class businesses. And next door, in Ecuador, President Moreno has removed restrictions on freedom of the press and welcomed a new national dialogue. And finally, in Argentina has decided that old models aren't delivering. Those solutions no longer work. It's not what they're looking for. There's a saying in English, and probably in Spanish too. I'll do it in English today. That what is popular isn't always right, but what is right isn't always popular. President Macri is doing the hard work of trying to reform his economy. We thank him for that. His people will be better off for it. The government there is taking difficult but important steps to build sustainable growth. It's a tough road to walk, and it's not without peril. It's also not without results. Argentina has returned to global credit markets recently for the first time in 15 years. this is how prosperity is built. It's how democracies are strengthened. Voters opting for bolder visions, countries fighting their own internal challenges. Building on strong external relationships, we cannot miss how important this momentous time is. You should know that the Trump administration is not just talking, we're acting in support of this. Because this is all encouraging progress, and democratic nations around the world rightfully deserve our support. The question is how. Some leaders, even as recently as a few years ago, have come here and declared their intentions. But they were all talk and no action. We'll never do that. The Trump administration will not make that same mistake. You can already see through the concrete steps we've taken. President Trump, Vice President Pence, and I have all crisscrossed the region, and we'll be back more. My first trip this year, was to
找工作。